Picture this. You just got off the phone with someone who needed to talk. You listened, you offered encouragement, you stayed patient, even when they barely asked how you were. Then you hung up, and suddenly felt like the air was sucked out of the room. You're not angry, you're not even sure what happened, but you feel drained, like a light inside you flickered out. And this isn't the first time. It happens with that one friend who always has a crisis, with that coworker who vents but never listens, with the family member who leaves you feeling guilty no matter how much you give. You want to be kind, you want to be supportive, but deep down something whispers, why does it always cost so much just to be there for them? If you've ever felt this, leave a comment and write, "I'm ready to protect my energy." Because this isn't just emotional exhaustion, it's energetic intrusion, and you weren't made to live wide open to everyone and everything. Today, you'll learn how to build sacred boundaries, not out of fear, but out of love. Not to push people away, but to honor your divine space. With Archangel Michael as your guide, you'll learn how to protect your light from those who misuse it, so you can stop dimming yourself and start rising fully into the life you were meant to live. Because when your energy is protected, clarity returns, peace returns, and the life you've been asking for finally has room to come in. Why you struggle to set boundaries, and why it's not about being too nice. You've always had a good heart. That's never been the problem. You care deeply. You feel everything. And even when someone hurts you, you still find yourself wondering if they're okay. You've been the safe one, the reliable one, the one who steps in without being asked and rarely gets thanked. And because of that, there's a part of you that has learned to carry other people's burdens as if they were your own. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're naive. And it's definitely not because you're too nice. It's because you were taught that love means sacrifice, that being a good person means being available, even when it costs you, that protecting your peace somehow makes you selfish. And so you say yes when everything in your body says no. You stay quiet when your spirit wants to speak. You try to be understanding, even when someone has crossed the line for the 5th time. And little by little, your energy begins to unravel. You find yourself exhausted in conversations that used to feel easy. You feel anxious when a certain name pops up on your phone. You start dreading the very relationships you once poured your whole heart into. But here's what no one tells you. The people who deplete you the most rarely feel bad about it, but you do, because you were never taught that you matter too. You were taught that peace means silence, that love means overextending, that empathy means never turning anyone away. But protection is holy, boundaries are divine, and saying no can be the most sacred form of self-respect you ever practice, because your light is not here to be drained. It's here to guide. And no one, not even the people you care about, should be allowed to dim it without consequence. This is why Archangel Michael now steps closer to your path, not just to protect you from external harm, but to teach you how to stop betraying yourself in the name of being kind. He doesn't want you to build walls. He wants you to create sacred doors, doors that open only when your heart says yes, and close firmly when your spirit whispers, "This is not for me." Carla's turning point, when the energy shifted. Carla was always the dependable one. She remembered birthdays no one else did, showed up with meals when someone was sick, answered late-night phone calls, even when she had to wake up early the next morning. She wore the label strong like a badge of honor. Not because life was easy, but because she never let anyone see when it wasn't. But over time, something inside her began to fray. She noticed how drained she felt after certain conversations, even though she was just being there. Like always, the requests kept coming. "Can you talk for a sec? I know you're busy, but I really need you. You're so good at helping. What would you do in my situation?" And each time she said yes, even when her own heart needed attention. One evening, after dropping off groceries for someone who never once asked how she was doing, Carla parked her car, placed her hands on the steering wheel, and sat in silence. The exhaustion she had been ignoring caught up with her all at once. Tears came not from sadness, but from truth. For the first time in a long time, a thought rose up inside her. Why do I feel responsible for everyone's peace but not my own? That's when something shifted. The air in the car felt heavier and then lighter. A calm presence seemed to settle around her. Not loud, not dramatic, just firm, steady, and protective. As if a hand reached out and whispered, "You don't have to give yourself away to prove your goodness. You are allowed to protect your light." That moment marked her turning point. Carla didn't become closed off. She didn't stop helping, but she began to listen to her own needs. She learned to pause before saying yes, to ask herself, "Is this mine to hold?" She started honoring what drained her and what nourished her. And as she did, something beautiful returned. Her clarity, her energy, her sense of peace, because boundaries didn't make her less loving. They made her love herself enough to stop pouring into people who only knew how to take. How energetic intrusion happens and how it drains you. It's not always obvious. Energetic intrusion doesn't show up with flashing lights or warning signs. It slips in quietly through familiar voices, daily routines, and unspoken expectations. And because you're naturally empathetic, you often don't even realize it's happening until you're already exhausted. It can look like this: feeling anxious before seeing a certain friend, but going anyway, because you should. Feeling heavy after a phone call that had no real conflict, but left you emotionally numb. Dreading a conversation you know will be one-sided. Smiling in front of someone who subtly criticizes you, but masks it as just being honest. Getting physically tired after interactions, even when you didn't do anything hard. This kind of fatigue doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from absorbing too much. Every time you override your body's signals to make someone else comfortable. Every time you say yes from guilt instead of peace. Every time you pretend you're fine when you're not. You open the door for your energy to be siphoned. And most of the time, it doesn't come from obvious toxic people. It comes from those you care about, the ones you don't want to disappoint. But love without boundaries becomes martyrdom, and spiritual generosity without protection becomes a portal for depletion. How the drain begins. It starts subtly. A request here, a small sacrifice there. You don't feel it at first because you're used to giving, but the signs begin to build. You feel tired after basic conversations. You second-guess your decisions. You feel resentment, but shame for feeling it. You pull back from your own dreams, time, or care routines to make space for others. You start feeling unclear, unfocused, scattered, but can't name why. That's not just life. That's energetic leakage. It's like having dozens of tiny holes in your spiritual shield. Nothing major, but constant. Little by little, your light dims. Not because it's gone, but because it's being drained by what isn't aligned. What Archangel Michael wants you to understand. Protection isn't a last resort. It's a spiritual practice. Michael doesn't just stand guard when something goes wrong. He invites you to create a field around your energy, a sacred boundary that keeps you sovereign, clear, and strong. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop letting them access parts of you they haven't earned, because your time, your presence, your support, these are sacred. And when they're given without clarity, they become scattered and powerless. But when they're given with intention, they become transformational for you and for those truly meant to walk with you. This is the power of divine boundaries. What worthiness has to do with boundaries? At first glance, boundaries look like a behavior issue. Saying no, speaking up, leaving when it's time. But underneath the hesitation, beneath the overgiving and the guilt, there's something deeper at play. A quiet, aching question. Am I allowed to protect myself? Most people think the struggle to set boundaries comes from not knowing how. But for women like you, who care deeply and love fully, it usually comes from not believing you deserve to. Somewhere along the way, you learned that protecting your time was selfish. Putting yourself first meant you were cold. Loving others meant never turning them away. Being a good person meant being constantly available. You were praised for being helpful, for being the peacekeeper, for being the one who could handle anything. So you learned to equate love with sacrifice and worthiness with self-abandonment. But here's what Archangel Michael wants you to know. You don't have to be empty to be enough. You don't have to be available to be valuable. You don't have to break yourself open to prove your love. The root of the guilt. If guilt rises every time you set a boundary, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your inner wiring has been trained to feel unsafe when you're not pleasing others. That guilt, it's not a sign you're selfish, it's a sign you're healing. You're unlearning the belief that your needs are too much. You're rewriting the message that your voice is inconvenient. You're reclaiming the truth that your presence is sacred and not everyone deserves access to it. Michael doesn't just protect your outer world. He clears the inner programs that convince you to abandon yourself in the name of being good. Because here's the truth. Boundaries are not rejection. They are alignment. They don't mean you love less. They mean you love wiser. They don't push people away. They reveal who was never willing to meet you in wholeness. And perhaps most importantly, they teach your own heart to stop giving love that isn't also given back. How to call on Michael to build your boundaries. You don't need to become hard or harsh. You don't have to start saying no with bitterness or build walls that shut everyone out. Boundaries are not about closing your heart. They are about guarding it with wisdom. And this is exactly what Archangel Michael is here to help you do. His energy is strong, but never forceful, protective, but never punishing. He is the sword of truth wrapped in divine love. With Michael's help, you don't just learn how to set boundaries. You learn how to anchor them energetically, so your presence begins to speak for itself. Step 1. Clear the static. Before any clarity can come in, the noise must be cleared. Find a quiet space. No distractions, no background noise. Place your hands gently over your heart. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Then ask yourself, where in my life do I feel resentful, but still say yes? Who drains me, even if they're not doing it on purpose? Where am I abandoning myself to keep someone else comfortable? Let the answers come without judgment. This is not about blame, it's about truth. Step 2. Invite Michael's shield. When you're ready, say this softly, aloud, or in your heart. Archangel Michael, surround me now with your shield of divine light. Help me reclaim every space in my life where I've been overrun. Teach me how to protect what is sacred in me, so I no longer confuse self-sacrifice with love. As you say this, visualize a radiant, cobalt blue light forming around your body. This is Michael's shield. Strong, protective, clear. It doesn't push people away. It filters energy, so only what is aligned with love and truth can reach you. Stay in this light for a few moments. Let it fill the gaps where your energy once leaked. Let it remind your spirit what true safety feels like. Step 3. Anchor your yes and your no. Now that your energy is protected, your next task is to clarify your yes and your no. You are not obligated to explain yourself to anyone who refuses to honor your boundaries. Simple phrases carry powerful energy when they are rooted in truth. I'm not available for that right now. I need time to think before I commit. That doesn't feel aligned for me. I'm focusing on my own healing right now. Each time you speak a boundary with love and clarity, your energy field strengthens. Michael stands taller beside you, and the people who are truly meant for your life, they will respect you more for it, not less. Step 4. Make it a practice. Boundaries are not a one-time event. They are a daily commitment to honoring your inner truth. This is why spiritual protection must become a rhythm, not a reaction. Each morning, you can begin with a short prayer. Michael, guide my words today. Help me recognize where I am giving too much. Protect my energy, my voice, my peace, and teach me how to love from overflow, not from depletion. Each evening, you can reflect and ask, where did I hold my boundary today? Where did I feel compromised? And what can I change tomorrow? This is not perfection. This is presence. And Michael walks with you through every step of it. When you finally protect your energy, everything changes. Once you begin setting boundaries, not from fear, but from alignment, the entire atmosphere of your life starts to shift. You feel clearer, lighter, more grounded in your own skin. Suddenly, things that once drained you no longer feel allowed to stay. Conversations that used to confuse you feel easier to step away from. And people who once took advantage of your kindness, they begin to fall away, quietly, without conflict, because your energy no longer welcomes them. You stop saying yes out of guilt. You start saying yes from overflow, and it shows in every corner of your life. Your body responds. The tension in your shoulders begins to release. Your sleep becomes deeper. You wake up without that cloud of unspoken dread. Your emotions stabilize. You stop feeling like you're on edge or one wrong word away from a spiral. You feel present, rooted, in tune with what you want without needing permission to want it. Your relationships shift, some fade, and it hurts, but also heals. Others deepen because now you're loving from authenticity, not obligation. Your intuition sharpens. What once confused you becomes clear. You trust your gut again. You know who is safe and who is not, without second-guessing your inner voice. You begin to attract peace, not because your life is suddenly perfect, but because you are no longer in energetic agreement with chaos. And all of this happens simply because you chose to protect what was always sacred. You, your sacred support for staying protected every day. Here's the truth. Setting boundaries once isn't enough. The world will keep asking. People will keep pulling. Old patterns will try to sneak back in. That's why you need more than just good intentions. You need spiritual reinforcement. You need to stay connected to the energy of protection and divine guidance every single day. There is a sacred tool, a spiritual anchor designed for sensitive souls like you. It's not just information. It's not just motivation. It's daily energetic alignment with the presence and power of Archangel Michael. Through it, you'll feel emotionally and spiritually shielded from draining people. Cut energetic cords to past relationships and soul ties that no longer serve you. Wake up in clarity instead of confusion. Hear divine guidance more clearly because your energy is no longer scattered. Step into the life that was always waiting once you stopped allowing everyone else to pull you away from it. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about coming back home to yourself, protected, sovereign, and spiritually aligned. If your spirit is saying yes, click the link in the description or top comment now and begin your sacred journey of daily protection, guidance, and healing with Archangel Michael. You are not meant to be drained. You are not meant to carry the weight of everyone else's chaos. You are meant to be protected. And this is your invitation to finally live that way, every day. You've given so much. You've held space, stayed strong, said yes when you had nothing left. But now, it's time to draw the line. Not because you're angry, not because you want to shut people out, but because your peace is sacred, and you're finally ready to stop trading it for connection that leaves you empty. Archangel Michael is already standing with you. You don't have to figure out how to do this alone. You don't have to wait for the next breakdown to finally say, enough. Let protection become your new way of being. Let clarity become your atmosphere. Let peace become your standard, not your reward. Click the link in the description or top comment now to begin your sacred journey with Archangel Michael. Reinforce your energy, restore your boundaries, and reclaim the life that's waiting on the other side of your yes to yourself. And before you go, comment below. I'm done being drained. Let that be the line you draw. Let that be the beginning of your return to strength, because you are not just meant to be kind, you are meant to be whole.